Well, it's Sunday, March the 9th, 2008. This is some more memories of Alamosa and also some memories of flying in small planes. Wallace Leary, the board chairman at Alamosa when I was interviewed and during my first months there, being a veterinarian, was extremely well known to a number of people, and he's such a fine family man, such a personable leader, that had he remained in the community, I have a feeling I might have been able to leave Alamosa at my timing, which would have been when my youngest daughter graduated from high school. I had come to believe that I'd done a very bad thing in accepting the Sheridan, Wyoming superintendency just as my oldest daughter was going into her senior year of high school. And I did not want to move the younger one until she was out of high school. It ended up I didn't have that choice. We had a number of other very strong board chairmen, and I can't remember for sure, but I think maybe Jim Temple was the one that followed Dr. Leary. Jim Temple was the leader, the head officer of the Public Service Company in Alamosa, and during his tenure we refinanced some bonds. I believe that was it. Whatever it was a financial matter that required going into Denver, board chairman, board treasurer, superintendent, and I can't remember if another board member or two was involved or not. But we flew in on commercial transportation, and I don't know exactly how that all happened to work out, but Mr. Temple had it worked out where we would fly back from Denver in the public service Learjet. Well, you know, Learjets are something, I guess, even now, today. They were really something back there in the 70s. And we took care of our business, and we went out to the airport, I think it was Stapleton, and the jet was there. We piled out, loaded in, and by accident or otherwise, I drew the seat that's kind of a side saddle seat. You're not facing frontwards, you're not facing backwards, you're facing in from the side. So I happened to look down at my watch as the pilot, and the pilot, he's right there too, it's not compartmentalized. The pilot heads us over on the runway and gets the clearance, and holy cow, when we accelerated, yeah, I'm leaning because, I mean, we accelerated and we're off the ground. Well, in the paratroops and later life on commercial flights, I always count. And if I get up to 17 or 18, it's time those wheels are coming off the ground. You get up to 24, I'm nervous about it. I don't think I got to more than 6. We're off. And man, we rise right up above Denver. You feel him circling. You know he's circling around. We went from south to north on that runway. And he's circling around to go up over the mountains towards Alamosa. So we made the turn. I'm looking down there. I wanted to see Evergreen as we went over, and I don't see Evergreen. And so somebody said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Well, I used to live at Evergreen, I'm looking for it." And the pilot laughed and he said, "We're almost through going over South Park, which is on over beyond Evergreen, and just no time at all, we're looking down at the peaks of the Needles area of the Santa Cristo Mountains, and we're no more over them, and whoo, down we go and land." If I remember right, it was 28 minutes from the time we started down that runway in Denver, and we're sitting on the ground in Alamosa. Amazing, amazing. Trip of a lifetime for me, and I thank you, Mr. Temple, and I thank you, Public Service. It was a thrill. Definitely a thrill. Well, one of the things that happened to me early on in the service was when I got recalled for the Korea War and was sent over to Japan. Now I'm an officer. They want me to be a jump master. So they take us and have us signed up, a couple of us, to go to jump master school. When it comes my turn, we're going to fly to the place where they have the school in a little tiny plane, one of those where the pilot sits here and you sit right directly behind him, and you get a little thing he shouts into and you can hear him in spite of the wind and so on. I was a little nervous about that. I'd never flown in an airplane except those bigger ones that they take you up and dump you out. Never had landed in an airplane. So I'm looking down at all these rice paddies and I'm saying, hey, what happens if this engine quits? Because just one little engine. He said, no problem. I could land this thing on any of those rice paddies. Okay, good. And no problem. And we get over to the jump master's area and do the training. And I remember it was 5 jumps in 5 days, or 2 days. I don't remember just how it was, but there was 5 jumps. Incidentally, one of those jumps was, I don't think it was actually a jump from a plane, but as part of the training, they had you on a parachute drop into a swimming pool with ice blocks floating around in it. The point was, get loose from that chute when you see there's water down there, so that when you hit the water, you get free of that chute, so the thing doesn't tangle you up and drown you. Enjoyed jump school. It was all right. But it was the only time up until then that I'd ever landed in an airplane, let alone the fact that it was just a little old puddle jumper type of an airplane. Well, time goes by, back to civilian life, go up to Sheridan, and Lou Finch, that had been with me in Evergreen, he's a pilot. And we have a meeting down in the capital city. And Lou says, want to fly down? No, sure. And so he rents a plane. Down we go. That's pretty neat. A lot faster and more enjoyable than driving down the highway. On the way going or coming one, I don't remember. It was a nice bright day, and he took us down pretty low to look at some of the antelope. Big herd of antelope down there. And then we're getting a little closer. We're getting back towards Sheridan, and there's a thunder cloud out there between us and Sheridan. And he said, you know, Doc, we're going to go around that. I said, okay. Is it dangerous? He said, you don't want to ever fly into a thundercloud in a little plane like this. He said, I understand those guys that do weather forecasting have big planes that they'll fly into those. But he said, we don't want anything to do with it. Well, good. And no problem. I think we made 1 or 2 trips that way. He did let me, by the way, take the controls. I said, now, you know, you keep that horizon line steady. I didn't think I was doing a very good job of keeping that line steady. I said, hey, Lou, you go ahead. You do the flying. I'll just do the looking. Well, then we get down to Alamosa. John Canty, when he became assistant superintendent, says, you know, we've got to go over to Denver, and I can't remember if he said it was his plane or if he and a bunch of his buddies owned the plane. But they had a World War II plane that they had kept in good shape, and we flew.